Imagine a war that killed nearly 4 million people, drew in 22 nations, and ended exactly where it began, yet vanished from the world's memory. This is the Korean War. Born from the ashes of World War II and drowned out by Vietnam, it reshaped Asia's destiny while leaving a nation severed in two. For 3 years, soldiers battled in sub-zero winters and monsoon rains. Civilians endured massacres and famine, and Cold War superpowers teetered on the brink of nuclear annihilation. But when the guns fell silent, there was no victory parade, only a ceasefire. Forgotten war, perhaps, but its ghosts still haunt the Korean peninsula today. This is the story of how a single conflict froze a country in time, and why its unresolved fury could ignite again. The Korean War's roots stretch back to 1945, when Japan's surrender left Korea, a colony since 1910, suddenly free but fractured. With Cold War tensions rising, the Allies split the peninsula at the 38th parallel. Soviet forces occupied the industrial north, while the U.S. administered the agricultural south. What began as a temporary partition hardened into ideological division. In the north, Kim Il-sung, a Soviet-backed guerrilla leader, built a Stalinist regime, purging dissenters and promising reunification. In the south, U.S.-supported Syngman Rhee, a fiercely anti-communist exile, rigged elections and violently suppressed leftist movements. By 1948, two hostile states claimed legitimacy: the Communist Democratic People's Republic in the north, and the authoritarian Republic of Korea in the south. Border clashes raged as both leaders vowed to conquer the other. Kim secured Stalin's reluctant approval for invasion, betting the U.S. wouldn't intervene. He was wrong. When North Korean tanks rolled south on June 25, 1950, they ignited the first hot war of the Cold War era, and a catastrophe that scars Korea to this day. June 25, 1950, under cover of monsoon rains, 90,000 North Korean troops stormed south with Soviet-made tanks and artillery. The South's ill-equipped army, riddled with defections and sabotage, collapsed. Within 72 hours, Seoul fell. Panic spread as refugees clogged roads, and communist forces pushed southward, trapping U.S. advisors in a desperate last stand at Daejeon. But halfway across the world, the Insecurity Council made history. With the Soviet Union boycotting the vote, the U.S. secured unprecedented authorization for police action to repel the invasion. President Truman ordered General MacArthur to mobilize U.S. forces, most still recovering from World War II, while 15 allies, from Britain to Ethiopia, pledged troops. By July, American soldiers were landing in Pusan, and prepared for the monsoon mud, scorching heat, or the brutal truth: this would be no quick war. The North now controlled 90% of the peninsula, but MacArthur had a gamble up his sleeve. The Korean War's turning points read like a roller coaster of hubris and horror. In September 1950, General MacArthur defied all odds with his Incheon landing, a risky amphibious assault behind enemy lines. Forces recaptured Seoul in days, sending North Korea reeling. But MacArthur's push to the Chinese border triggered disaster. In November, 300,000 Chinese troops, disguised in plain cotton uniforms, ambushed forces in the frozen hell of Chosin Reservoir. Marines fought, attacking in all directions, escaping encirclement at -40°F, leaving 6,000 dead. By January 1951, Seoul fell again to communist forces. The U.S. regrouped, bombing North Korea into rubble. Operation Ripper reclaimed Seoul in March, but at a horrific cost. Napalm scorched villages. Civilian deaths topped 1 million. By summer, the front stabilized near the 38th parallel. Battle of Bloody Ridge and Heartbreak Ridge saw thousands die for mere meters of terrain. Meanwhile, U.S. air power flattened the north, dropping more bombs than in the entire Pacific theater of World War II. Yet, neither side could break the deadlock. By 1953, a weary world demanded peace, but not before one final bloodbath as China launched Battle of Pork Chop Hill, sacrificing 1,500 troops to secure leverage at the negotiating table. After 3 years of carnage, the war ended where it began, the 38th parallel. On July 27, 1953, negotiators signed an armistice, not a peace treaty, in the village of Panmunjom. The agreement swapped prisoners, though thousands refused repatriation, and drew a new demilitarized zone, a 2.5-mile-wide no-man's land bisecting Korea. But the human toll was staggering. Over 37,000 Americans, 500,000 allies, and millions of Koreans lay dead. Families were severed overnight, their letters and cries for reunion ignored by both regimes. The DMZ became a surreal Cold War theater, laced with landmines, guard towers, and propaganda loudspeakers. Yet nature reclaimed the void. Today, it's an accidental wildlife sanctuary for endangered cranes and amur leopards. For Korea, though, the war never ended. Technically, North and South remain at war, with Pyongyang citing the armistice as proof of U.S. imperialism. Meanwhile, shelling incidents and naval clashes flare to this day, a chilling reminder that the peninsula's fragile peace hangs by a thread. The Korean War didn't just split a nation, it forged two diametrically opposed worlds. The South, once ravaged by poverty, rose as an economic miracle on the Han River, embracing democracy and pop culture. The North, cloaked in isolation, became a nuclear-armed dictatorship, its people trapped in Stalinist time. Globally, the war set a precedent. The US would police communism worldwide, while China emerged as a military power. For veterans, it was a forgotten war, overshadowed by World War II and Vietnam, yet with a higher daily casualty rate. Millions of Koreans, however, could never forget. Families torn at the DMZ held funerals for relatives presumed dead, until rare reunions began in the 2000s, only to be severed again by politics. Today, 28,500 US troops remain stationed in the South, while the North's nuclear arsenal grows. The war's legacy, a stark warning, unresolved conflict festers. As cyber attacks and missile tests keep tensions at a boil, the Korean peninsula remains a powder keg, and a testament to the cost of division. The Korean War taught us that peace without resolution is a fragile illusion. A divided peninsula, a world forever altered, and millions of lives reduced to footnotes in history books. Yet, in the silence of the DMZ, nature whispers a warning. Wars leave scars that never fully heal. Today, as Kim Jong-un's missiles soar and K-pop bridges global divides, the specter of 1950 lingers. Will history remember the lessons of this forgotten war, or repeat them? If you found this chapter of history as gripping as it is tragic, share your thoughts below. Subscribe and hit the bell, because understanding the past is our only compass for navigating the future. Until next time, stay curious and never stop questioning the stories left untold.